Okay, just for a second, picture a world where the party never ends, where literally everyone thinks they're a financial genius and the stock market only ever goes up. That was America in the 1920s. But what happens when the music stops? Well, that's what we're digging into today, the Great Depression and the New Deal. It's an incredible story of epic collapse and radical reinvention that honestly changed America forever. So let's really set the scene here. Before the crash, there was the party. And the Roaring Twenties? That wasn't just a nickname, it was a feeling. It was this nationwide wave of insane optimism, where it just felt like the good times were never going to stop, and everyone, everyone, from the shoeshine boy to the biggest tycoon, had the Midas touch. But as we all know, every party has a morning after. And the Roaring Twenties economic boom, well, it was basically a skyscraper built on a foundation of sand. The cracks were already starting to show. You just had to be willing to look down. And this really gets to the heart of the whole illusion. See, people weren't just investing their own money. They were buying stocks on margin, which is just a fancy way of saying they were gambling with borrowed money. And it wasn't just stocks. Installment plans meant you could get new cars, new radios, a whole new life, all on credit. It was like a nationwide shopping spree fueled by debt and this unshakable belief that the stock market was a one-way ticket to the moon. And then came Black Tuesday. The music didn't just stop, the entire record just shattered. The market tipped a little, and then it just plunged. Panic hit the floor like a tidal wave. Everybody was trying to sell, but nobody was buying. That whole house of cards wasn't just falling, it was blown away in one single devastating gust. The party was officially over. So the really crucial thing to understand here is that this wasn't just about some Wall Street bankers losing their fortunes. No, the crash triggered this massive domino effect that plunged the entire nation into a deep, deep crisis. And the human cost, it was just staggering. This number, wow, it's hard to even wrap your head around it. By the early 1930s, the national unemployment rate hit 25%. 1 in 4 able-bodied Americans was jobless. Just let that sink in for a second. Yeah, try to translate that to your own life right now. Think about your neighborhood, your office, your own family. Now imagine 1 out of every 4 of those people suddenly having no income, no prospects, nothing. That was the reality. Factories shut down. Banks locked their doors for good. People's life savings? Poof, gone. And for those who lost their homes, a new kind of town started popping up. They were built from whatever people could find: scrap wood, tin, cardboard. These shanty towns were a grim testament to total desperation, and they called them Hoovervilles, a bitter, sarcastic tribute to the president a lot of people blamed for their situation. And then this happened: the Bonus Army. Now, these were the guys who had fought for their country in World War I. They were jobless, desperate, and they marched on Washington to ask for a bonus they had been promised. And the government's response? Tanks and tear gas. It was this brutal, shocking moment that basically told all of America the old rules are gone. The country was on its knees, and it was screaming for a change. So the election of 1932, it wasn't just a choice between 2 candidates. It was a vote on the entire future of the country. And America chose Franklin D. Roosevelt and his promise of a New Deal. And this quote, this is pure FDR. He inherited a complete national disaster. Banks were failing left and right. Farms were literally turning to dust. He didn't have a magic solution, but he had a philosophy. We have to try something, anything. It was time for bold, messy, urgent action. And oh, did they try things. The result was this dizzying array of new programs, famously nicknamed the alphabet soup. You had the CCC, which put young men to work planting trees. The WPA built bridges and schools. The FDIC insured bank deposits, which was huge. It meant people would never lose their life savings like that again. And then there was the big one, Social Security, a totally radical idea at the time that created a safety net for the elderly and unemployed that we still have to this day. But let's be real here. We shouldn't romanticize it. The New Deal was super controversial. Critics were howling that the government was getting way too big, too powerful. The Supreme Court even struck down some of its key programs as unconstitutional. And the honest truth is, the Depression didn't really end until the factories fired up for World War II. But the New Deal had already planted a seed that would change America forever. And this is the real legacy. It's bigger than the dams, bigger than the jobs. The New Deal fundamentally rewired the relationship between Americans and their government. It totally changed what people expected from Washington. This slide says it all, really. Hoover's approach was basically hands-off. Trust the market, it'll correct itself. Roosevelt's approach was completely hands-on. When the market fails the people, the government must step in. This was a seismic shift in political philosophy, a total game changer. And this, right here, this is the revolution. For the very first time, millions of Americans began to see their government not as this distant, removed authority, but as a last resort, as a safety net. The idea that in a major crisis, Washington might actually have your back, that whole idea was born in the New Deal, and it has shaped pretty much every political debate ever since. And so that leaves us with this question, the very same one that echoes all the way from the 1930s to today. From debates over healthcare to stimulus checks, we are still wrestling with the legacy of the New Deal. How much should a government do for its people? Nearly a century later, America is still trying to figure out the answer.